Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Lebanon Board of Works meeting for October 28, 2019. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Member Robertson, will you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next we'll move on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Sure. Mayor Gentry.
Present.
Jane Taylor is absent this evening. Bill Stoner.
Present.
Dick Robertson.
Present.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Are there any changes proposed to the minutes? Would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. Now we'll move on to department head reports. First up, the Police Department, Chief Morgan.
Good evening. Since our last meeting, the Lebanon Police Department has responded to 544 calls for service. A total of 11 people were arrested for the following crimes: 1 wanted on a warrant, 2 operating a vehicle while intoxicated, 2 for battery, 2 for possession of meth, 2 for dealing meth, 1 for neglect of a dependent, 1 for public intoxication. 8 handgun permits were sent off to the state for final approval. And on October 19th and 20th, Officer Clark Lecker attended Hands to Gun Defensive Tactics and Firearms class. It was put on by Steve Tarani. On October 22nd, LPD officers attended a criminal law update put on by the Boone County Prosecutor's Office. On October 26th, LPD participated in the drug turn-in program at our local Walmart. Officers were stationed at Walmart from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and collected approximately 68 pounds of unused or expired medications. And we'd like to remind the public that we have one of these drop-off boxes in our lobby. They can come up during any business hours and drop off their unused medicine. Then our SOG committee has finally started meeting, and they're going to start meeting once a week, along with the help of Lexipol, trying to update our policies and procedures. And then just so you guys know, our wellness policy, we're moving forward with it. Major Bells has met with some other officers from other departments and seen how they do it and what plans that they've done. And we've talked with the Y, and they're willing to help out also. So that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Chief Morgan. Any questions for the chief?
No.
Any questions for the public? Okay. Next up is Fire Department, Chief Baird.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Works. Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire Department responded to 131 calls of service. The shifts have logged 280 training hours. We have participated in 3 public education events. Our inspection division has performed 45 commercial inspections. The car seat techs installed 3 car seats. Floor Brothers Painting should finish repainting Station 11 today. They've done an excellent job, and it looks great. They actually were still working on it when I left, so they're close. Firefighters Alex Knipp, Jacob Fussell, and Tyler Aguirre have started their Fire Officer 1 certification classes, and they'll finish sometime in the middle of December. This whole month of October, we had Fire Prevention Week, but this whole month of October, we've been visiting all the children K through 2nd grade and all the city's grade schools. We've also visited, if not all, most of the daycares and preschools as well. My guess is we've reached at least 900 to 1,000 children and taught them fire safety. One thing I want to share, I go to Family Express, and the mother in there that works there said that they went to school that day, and her little girl called 911 that evening, asked to hug a fireman without her knowing it. So they are making a difference, and so that's good for them to hear. Of course, yesterday evening, afternoon was Mischief Farm Meridian, was a huge success, and couldn't ask for better weather. And then one thing I want to remind, as the weather turns cooler, as it is, please be cautious with alternative heat sources and placing them too close to ignition sources, because we had a fire a week before Friday was caused by that, and this time of year that happens all the time. Change your furnace filters, good time to do that. Make sure your smoke detectors and CO detectors are in working order. And then remind people when you turn your furnace on, you're going to get that smell sometimes. Not always a problem, but feel free to call us if you think there is a problem. Lastly, with Thursday being Halloween, please, parents, grandparents, whatever, escort your younger children. Make sure they carry a flashlight or glow sticks and they're very visible. And then take extra care crossing streets, try to stay on sidewalks, and make it a safe Halloween.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
Thank you, Chief Barrett. Any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, Parks Department, John Messenger.
Good evening. Last week, we welcomed a new member to the Parks Department. Allison Morton, our programming director, and her husband Todd welcomed their second boy. There again, Allison had Tucker Morton, cute little boy.
To clarify, he's not employed, so it's not a child labor law incident?
That's true.
Okay,
That's
just
true,
want to.
but he will be. Let me tell you, he will be.
Just want to
Yes.
clarify.
But I want to welcome him to the family. We also hired a full-time employee, Bob Pearl. So for the first time this year, we are fully staffed at the Parks Department. So he's going to make a great addition. Construction on the restroom maintenance area is progressing very well. Boy, I can go on with all the details, but it's going along, moving very well. Getting ready to put some drainage in, and then hopefully we'll get some asphalt down by about the 15th. I think that's the date, which will be nice to have asphalt back there. Put the first coat down, it in the full asphalt. But it's going very good. Speaking of restrooms, the rest of the restrooms at Abner, Longley, and Memorial, due to the weather and they aren't heated, we will have to shut those down. So when temperatures dip below freezing, we're going to have to shut those down. So just be prepared to not have any restrooms here soon. So we've been pretty fortunate right now. We had a couple of 5Ks. I think there was supposed to be one, there was one Saturday. Rotary put it on. Unfortunately, they couldn't reschedule because they had insurance, and I think their timer was already scheduled for Saturday, so they couldn't put it off till Sunday. I think they had about 60 runners starting out, but they ended up with 20, I think, that ran Saturday, and those are brave dudes. They got a little bit wet, but anyway, sorry for that. And in the past couple weeks, we've had a couple 5Ks, a wedding, and knocked a few trees down. There again, we start cleaning up all the beds uptown, getting all those ready for the winter. And we're still working on that. We'll probably finish that up in the next couple of days. Also, we're working on the baseball diamond at Memorial Park, working on those dugouts. That should all be blocked. They're working right now. We have a couple volunteers that are masons that are putting our blocks up for us. And they should have the other one probably finalized tomorrow. So we're really thankful for our volunteers that we have help on that. We had our first annual Pumpkins in the Park. Again, we wanted to have it at that beautifully renovated memorial shelter. Unfortunately, there was a wedding there on Sunday, so we had to move it over to the bandstand shelter, which it worked out just great. It was a huge success with over 300 people in attendance. We had pumpkin painting, hay rides, s'more station. We had kettle corn, which I guess it was a big hit too. And it was just a great event, and also a hay ride. And the colors were beautiful, and everybody knows yesterday was a beautiful day. I just want to thank a lot of people. Becky's Market for helping us with the pumpkins, the hay ride from Reynolds Farm Equipment that came out and donated their time and tractor and hay rides for us. And there again, our park staff and a lot of the family members, like the child labor that you were talking about earlier that came out and volunteered. I think Lori Frost brought all 6 kids that were helping us at one point. But our families are a big help to us. Our Christmas in the Cabin and Christmas Parade will be Sunday or Saturday, December 7th. Christmas Parade registration is open. Sign up through the Parks office if you like to enter a float. The cost is only $5 per float. Our carriage ride signups will open on November 1st, and that'll be a big hit. We're trying to get 2 carriage rides going because that's a very popular event. It fills up quick, but November 1st is the time to sign up for that. And we have lap swimming going on right now also at the high school. It's back up this week. Starts tomorrow. And that's all I had.
Okay. Thank you, John. Any questions for John from the board? Any questions for the public? Okay, thank you, sir. Next up is the Engineering Department, Kim Krulik.
Good evening. Engineering Department update for tonight. Let's start off on our downtown projects. Nearing the end, see the light at the end of the tunnel, but still a lot left to do here in the next 30 days, give or take. Work that's been completed since we last met on phases 5 and 6 on the west end of the project. All the lighting is now on. That was turned on formally late last week. Unfortunately, we had to take some businesses out of power to make those connections. So Lebanon Utilities helped us to get that work done, and those lights are now all on. Again, on the west end of the project, the fencing along the trail near Patterson, adjacent to the ARC properties, those posts have now all been set, and they'll be working on setting those fence panels later in the week. Really, the rest of the work is happening downtown, other than some repair work that's going on based on our punch list items on the phases 5 and 6. But to move downtown, on State Road 39, Lebanon Street, the sidewalk replacement is continuing to move forward. Lighting conduit has all been completed. And we are told that they should, weather pending, we have some rain in the forecast this week, we should complete the sidewalks on State Road 39 this week. Jumping over to Meridian Street and 32, at that intersection, all the sidewalk demolition has been completed. You may have noticed the traffic signals are now up and all operational at this point, and I'm happy to report that as of last Friday, we did receive our NDOT reimbursement for traffic signal work. Work expected before we meet again. Again, as I said, weather pending. We expect to wrap up all the final signage that's in place, that's proposed for phases 5 and 6. We expect to wrap up the ARC property fencing along the trail. We expect the State Road 39 sidewalk improvements will all be in place, and hopefully we'll have completed the decorative paving. There's a band of decorative pavers, bluestone pavers, that will go behind the back of curb. It's transitioned from the curb up to the sidewalk along 39, so hopefully I'll be able to report to you next time we meet that all that is complete and that sidewalk is fully operational and parking spaces are back open. And then hopefully on Meridian Street, we should start demolition of curb and sidewalk tomorrow to replace the Meridian Street sidewalks and curbs between Main Street and State Road 32. So that's expected really in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Later this fall, though, we do expect to wrap up all the Meridian Street curb and sidewalk replacements. We expect to wrap up the lighting, the street furniture, and those things that will go on top of the sidewalks and pavers on State Road 39. The only work that I think will be left over till spring, cross our fingers that the weather allows, would be the resurfacing of Meridian Street from 32 to Main Street. That'd be the only outstanding item as I see it going forward. We think we've got a schedule to complete everything else. Jumping to the other large project within the city, Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2. Again, a lot of work happening down there since we last met. The Phase 2 intermediate asphalt pavement has been complete. Those are the northbound lanes on the east side of the street. Going to the west side, what we would refer to as Phase 3, all the demolition is complete, all the storm sewers have been installed. The area was rough graded last week. We continue to have had some delays associated with utility relocations, but late last week, Lebanon Utilities got in there and finally lowered the last of the water services to eliminate all the conflicts we have on Phases 2 and 3. And then you may have noticed that today we were out there doing soil cement stabilization. Keep in mind, now that we've cemented the soil, it does need to sit basically undisturbed for 3 days to allow it to cure. So that is why you won't see anything else happening for the next 3 days. But once we get that done and before we get back before you, we should have all of our stone subgrade placed. We should be in the middle of pouring curbs and just working our way towards opening of the project. We expect before Thanksgiving to have the intermediate asphalt down in Phase 3. Those are the southbound lanes, and that will allow us to open the road to two-way traffic for Thanksgiving. The project, obviously, though, will not be completed until next spring. So we'll do as much as we can while the weather allows this fall and into the winter. But full project completion in terms of walks, driveways, landscaping, lighting, asphalt surfacing, striping, we won't expect those to go in until in the spring. But as I said, we will continue to work to make sure that we get as much done while the weather allows as we can. Keep in mind with some of the work that's happening in the next few days out there, next few weeks, getting ready for paving. There'll be a lot of large equipment coming in and out, a lot of material deliveries as the stone comes in, as we start to pour curbs, a lot of concrete deliveries. So there may be traffic delays as you come through there, as those large vehicles and material deliveries are coming in and leaving the site. So we just ask for your patience there. With that, with the downtown project, the West Main Street project, Indianapolis Avenue, look for those updates that we're always putting out through the Heart of Lebanon, through the City of Lebanon Facebook pages, Engineering Department Facebook pages. Feel free to reach out to the Engineering Department. There are email distributions for both projects that are distributed. You're happy to contact me and get on those lists if you need to as well. Moving on to other smaller projects throughout the city, the East Street project. We haven't talked about that in a while, but we were out there late last week doing some tree replacements based on warranties. Late last week, other than a couple of additional trees we added, all that work was done under warranty, so there's no cost to the city there. Pavement resurfacing continues to move forward. I'm told by our contractor, Triangle Asphalt Paving, they will be here late this week to do milling and get ready to do the resurfacing on South East Street and South Meridian. It was scheduled for today, but has been delayed till the end of the week now. Once the milling is complete, we'll be doing some testing and moving forward with deep patching and then the resurfacing to follow in the next few days. On that note, community crossings, as I mentioned before, we were successful in getting awards for all 3 of the applications that we submitted. We have also provided proper notice to INDOT that we want to combine all 3 of those projects. That will just streamline some of our bidding practices moving forward. As you remember last week, you authorized us to move forward with those bids. The bid documents will be published this Friday in anticipation of opening those bid documents on the 9th of December at your regularly scheduled meeting. Keep in mind that projects have to be under contract by April 15th, and then we'll have 18 months to close them out. I haven't mentioned the list of streets in quite a while, so I figured I'd go through that just to let everybody know. We're talking about Anderson Lane on the west side of 39, at least all the areas that are within city limits. There are several areas along Anderson Lane that are county roads, but we're going to resurface all the stuff within city limits. Indianapolis Avenue, the very south end of Indianapolis Avenue from where Phase 1 project ended down to County Road 100 South. That is included in this package. Sam Ralston Road from Main Street to Riley Road. Lafayette Avenue from Main Street to Progress Avenue. Grant Street from State Road 32 to Washington Street. Ash Street from East Street to Pleasant Street. Chicago Street from State Road 39 about 160 feet to the alley, just a small segment of street there. Geneva Court from the entire length of Geneva Court from the cul-de-sac out to Cohen Street. Elm Street from the dead end to Coombs Street. Jumping to our second application, we have Witt Road from Lafayette Avenue to the city limits that are just north of Austin Drive. We have Grant Street from Fordyce to the Lebanon Middle School. Hoy Avenue from Lafayette Avenue to Camp Street. Elizaville Road from Elm Swamp Road to the city limits. It's about 1,780 feet. Campbell Street from Caraway to Lafayette Avenue. Caraway Street from Sam Ralston to the Jean Court cul-de-sac. Powell Street from Jameson to Lafayette Avenue. Stoltz Street from Jameson to the alley, about 454 feet. Ulen Overlook from the Ulen North Drive to the Ulen Overlook cul-de-sac. Westmore Drive from Ulen North Drive to Lakeview Drive. Ulen North Drive from State Road 39 to Ulen Overlook Drive. Wendy Lane from Westmore Drive to Ulen Overlook. And Lakeview Drive from Lake Shore Drive to Shorewood Drive. So been a while since I've read off that list. I thought people might be interested. Sidewalk replacement program, still moving forward. We've been working with our right-of-way acquisition consultant on acquiring the right-of-way that will get us set up for bidding those additional sidewalk projects on the Lafayette Avenue and Witt Road and Riley Road areas. Street Department unit price material bids, you authorized that at the last meeting. Those bids will be published this Friday in anticipation of opening on the 9th of December. Jumping out to Sunbrook, the roads in Sunbrook are nearing completion in the next 30 days. All utility underground work is complete. Stone subgrade is scheduled to start going down tomorrow, and with curbs following next week and asphalt early in November. Gateway Marketplace, just an update there that all the State Road 32 work is now complete. We are working with NDOT to expedite the stoplight installation. Keep in mind that signal installation is supposed to be delayed until the warrant based on traffic is there. We are going to go ahead and count the traffic at that intersection to see how close we are to signal warrant, and then we're working with the developer and the state on when we might anticipate those buildings and those uses opening up. But happy to report on that note that Moe's Southwest Grill and Burger King are now both under construction. Last, certainly not least, all of our pavement ratings for our new Pazer study and our pavement asset management plan are complete. We have a draft asset management plan that have been circulated between myself and the street department, and we're just working with our consultants to make sure that that plan is compliant and pursuant with all the LTAP and NDOT requirements. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kevin. A lot of great stuff going on. Questions for Kevin from the board?
Refresh my memory. I know that for the downtown revitalization project, the courthouse step that come down the south side,
Yes.
that's the county's responsibility to put that piece in.
It is the county's
Do
responsibility.
you know that thing has been like that for, it seems like eternity. Do you know what they're planning to do or when?
Yeah, we had hoped, when we first started the project, that we would be able to help out and make that project happen. Unfortunately, we just could not come to terms with the county. The county gave us all the permission we needed to temporarily demolish those steps and put in some temporary steps for them, but we just couldn't come to terms on the construction agreement to reconstruct that south entrance. The county has now a contractor under contract, which is the same contractor that we use for our downtown work. They're under contract with that. They are in fabrications of materials at this time, which is the granite steps that will be extended out from the courthouse. It's my understanding that those should be in the next couple of weeks, and they'll be starting that project. Of course, given the time of year, that's a difficult thing to do this time of year, but we'll see what the weather deals them and see how far they can move that along. But to reiterate that is entirely a Boone County contract, a Boone County contractor. We have no purview or control over that, other than the approvals that the city issued through the Historic Preservation Commission.
Thank you.
I got one, Kevin, and maybe you sent me an email, I don't remember, but is the trail application already been sent in and so forth?
Yes, I didn't have any new updates to give you tonight on that, other than the trail application did go in on the 16th.
Okay.
Pretty much in the same format as this board and the council had heard before. As final budgets came in, some of the percentages tweaked a little bit. We didn't want to come back and ask for any more money on that. So the percentage of our match did change a little bit. I believe it was still over 40%, though, somewhere between 40 and 45 was our final match. Okay. But that application is in. In my opinion, it looks like a great application. It's easy to read. I think it'll score very well, and we're excited to hear those announcements later in the year. So.
Yeah, so the application deadline is November 1st for all the communities. Obviously, we're already in. We've actually heard feedback from DNR, and we made sure we double checked, make sure we had everything in there that's in there now. And then we expect to hear back probably early 2020. They say they're going to be about 3 months to review all of those. So early 2020 to hear back on the trail stuff.
I think they made those announcements in January last year. I don't remember. I think there were 270 some applications last year. I expect there to be more with this round, so it may take them a little longer to review. But yeah, we would look to hear something later in the year, early January.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. Next up, Planning Department, Ben Bontrager.
Good evening, board members. I think the theme for the planning department for most of this year has been the construction activity is very strong, and that hasn't changed in the last 2 weeks. We completed another 61 building inspections, and what maybe only I find interesting about that is Gary was on vacation last week, and we did have some help from the county, but he only worked a half a day each day. So basically in the equivalent of 7.5 days, we still did 61 inspections. So we're shoehorning them in about every time period we can over the course of the last couple of weeks.
Hence why we're adding another inspector in the budget for next year.
Yeah,
right?
that's I think going to be pretty helpful. So both from inspections and code enforcement standpoint. So. In addition, we issued another 40 permits, so that both the permit side, and I think construction is going to remain very strong even through the winter time this year. There's just a lot going on. As Kevin mentioned, we now have 2 projects under construction out at Lebanon Gateway Marketplace. So we did issue that building permit out there, and we're still issuing permits out in Riley Ridge. So interest is still very strong in some of our newer neighborhoods. I think one interesting thing about Riley Ridge, and we haven't actually run the numbers yet, but while their price point starts in the 160s, I think their average sales price is probably close to 200. I know one that they've got listed on that's a spec home right now is 260. So the price range really is upper 100s into the 200s. So there's the interest out there is very strong, but they're interested in some of the higher price point homes in that neighborhood. So really good sign for the future for us. I mentioned code enforcement earlier. In terms of code enforcement, we're still doing a lot out there. Makeda's really staying strong on a lot of the things that are really hot button for us. Once we get the assistant planner position back in place as soon as possible, we're really going to step up code enforcement. I think we're going to start doing more active code enforcement rather than responsive code enforcement. We'll have enough man hours that we're going to be able to actually patrol in some cases and really hit certain targeted areas of the community where we're having challenges with either grass and weeds or junk cars or something like that. We're really going to be able to be proactive about that, I think, going into next year once we ramp up. Comprehensive plan I haven't mentioned for a little while. We are definitely significantly delayed at this point. Part of it's my fault, part of it's the consultant's fault, so we're trying to get that completed over the next few weeks. Do a presentation to the Planning Commission in November. I do have some documents that they have distributed to me that I need to review. Once we get through that, then they'll start populating the website. So we have had some delays over the last 6 months. The plan is to try to get this thing wrapped up, hopefully in the next few months. If we have it to Planning Commission in November, likely we'll get a recommendation from them in December, so it'll be coming to the council probably after the first of the year, knowing with the holidays in December. So that'd be the hope, as we get that wrapped up and adopted in January. So that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. Next up, Street and Stormwater Department, Dave Newell.
How's it going? See, the street and stormwater department's been out patching holes. I think we went through 4 tons of hot mix last week. So we got some alleys we need to finish up hopefully before the plants close, so we don't have to use cold mix. Brush and chipper truck's been out and very busy still. Pretty busy today. We had a tree down across the alley on Ulen, off of Ulen, so we took care of that, got it out of the way. The stormwater crew's still buttoning up a few small projects. Just mostly now we're just chasing. You know, if it's a project we're fixing it or a problem we're fixing it. We're not really doing any ahead of projects because of the weather. We continue to have the street sweeper out. It's kind of winding down as the leaf season's really picking up now, so it's going to go in full force. But we'll use it hopefully at the end of leaf season as well before clean up the streets, as long as the weather's not freezing on us. Like I said, we have the leaf machines out. Your leaf pickup will be the same day as your trash, so that's how we base it off of. It's just as easy for people. So if your trash is on Monday, that's when we'll try to get the leaves, unless it's raining or something. And if it's raining, we'll still follow the trash route the next day. So and then we just try to catch up. Once we catch up, then we try to go back to that one. If not, it throws everything off. So don't panic if your leaves ain't picked up. We'll get them. We haven't had anybody steal them yet, so they're usually there. The reminder that Green Cycle does take yard debris and limbs for free from our residents, so that'll help us out if, with leaf season kicking off, it's kind of hard to pull off and do a lot of brush. And also on that note, people need to put their leaves separate from the brush because the chipper won't pick up the brush, or the leaf machine won't pick up the sticks. And plus, we've had problems with concrete, people throwing metal and stuff in there, and it just destroys the chipper. So we need to make sure it's just leaves if we can. That's about all I have. We had 100 calls since the last Board of Works meeting. One of those were for concrete, 60 were for brush, 10 recycling and trash calls, 20 leaves calls. Most of those are just asking when we're picking up, when we're starting. 3 walk-ins and 6 thank yous. So that's all I got.
Very good. Thank you, Dave.
Another note he mentioned Indianapolis Road wanting to get it striped, and I know we talked about it, and then I talked about it with someone else. The fire chief, and I couldn't get on their schedule. Everybody's booked up for the year, so we are on the 1st of spring to get that stripe. We were wanting to get on now, and it's not just painting them anymore. You got to put the thermal striping down. So we are on their radar. It just didn't happen this year.
Any other questions for Dave from the board? No. Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Communications Community Development, Joe LePage.
Good evening, everyone. If you're into art, then you'll like my report this evening. We are wrapping up the municipal-owned tiger statues. Commissioned the last artist to work with the Lebanon Fire Department for their second tiger statue. You may have seen the first. It looks like a Dalmatian. But once those are all complete, we'll have a kind of a meeting and mingling of the tigers. We have completed the base design with Gilman Home Center, so we appreciate them working on that with us. They're also helping to coat each tiger, and so all those will go out to the municipal buildings, whether it be at the park and here at the municipal building, the fire stations, police stations as well. And so exciting stuff happening, and we'll be naming those and putting the plaques on all those before they go out to the community. Speaking of artwork, we need one final box to check off with NDOT before we unveil some artwork we're going to put under the overpass of I-65 near the trailhead, near Menards on the Big 4 Trail. And so that'll be an extensive piece of artwork. It's kind of the first phase in what we're going to do under that overpass. And so it'll be very community friendly and very artistic and very quality, classically done as well. Also discussing the overpasses with CSX about adding some more to those overpasses throughout our community. And so working with CSX to not only make them more presentable, but also to add some color to those overpasses. And then to that same point, just this morning, the Lebanon Youth Council at the high school, they've selected to do an interactive mural for this year. And so if you're familiar with murals at all, an interactive one is where you participate. And so it's either, we've had some temporary ones that were reindeer antlers, so you would stand under the antlers and they're there. This one would be more so of a megaphone spreading joy, love, positive thinking throughout our community. And so the location, actual design are still very much in the works, but they want to do an interactive mural in our community. And so a lot of art all ground swelling, and our tiger statues have been kind of the catalyst. And so happy to see that that's continuing to move forward. Also, the final push for this year's Love in Lebanon gear. Some of you have some of those items already. Locally themed items, nonprofits get a portion of those items sold, and the shopper is able to select which nonprofit gets paid. Through quarters 1, 2, and 3 of this year, almost $1,000 has been given back to nonprofits, and so we'd like to continue to add to that number, that amount. And so get your Christmas shopping done, all that stuff, by going to our website, lebanon.in.gov. It's under the Quality of Life tab. You can shop on hashtag Love in Lebanon and find some quality items there for yourself or for people you care about. Finally, I want to thank the public for more than 12,000 views of our latest Lebanon legend, Craig Terrell, whether through Facebook or our YouTube channels. Literally thousands of people have watched the videos of Craig and Rachel and their kiddos and their return from the Pacific Northwest back to Lebanon. So really fun story to tell, and look forward to doing more of those. Speaking of which, work has begun on the Drew Powell Lebanon Legend video. And Drew is an actor, is a multi-talented man. And if you're familiar with the show The Office, he had a bit part in that and was on Gotham for a while. And so got to sit down with Drew and talk about his life in Lebanon. And so that'll be the next one in our Lebanon Legends series. And so big thanks to the public for watching someone with local ties coming back home. So appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Any, also mention, I know you're involved with it somewhat too, the Mission on Meridian event last night, phenomenal success. Appreciate all of the collaboration that we do with the Heart of Lebanon on that event. It's always a fun family event for everybody.
We didn't have a turnstile, we didn't have a clicker, but by the rough guesstimation, either at or exceeding what we've had in the past. And so the date changed with the weather. Mother Nature didn't play nice on Saturday, but Sunday was a great night, and a lot of folks were able to come out and enjoy downtown, so it was really good.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions for Joe from the board? No? Any questions from the public? Okay, thanks, sir. All right, that concludes department head reports, so we'll move on to old business. I don't have anything on my agenda. Is there anything from the board?
No.
Okay, move on to new business then. We have, first up is Downtown Revitalization Project Change Orders 19 and 20. Guessing these are like some of the last ones? Maybe?
I hope so.
Okay, all right. Turn it over to Kevin on these.
No, these are, we're getting close to the end here, and when if you've had a chance to review the information that I've sent here, you'll see that especially with these change order 19 and 20 for the square, obviously one is a very much just a button-up item, and the other one is basically for the work on State Road 39. So yes, those are very much near the end of the project. I believe, I don't have the exact number in my head though, but I believe we're just shy of 8% of change order increases on the job, which is within what we budgeted for. I think we've ran a good project, and we thank the folks at White Construction and Butler, Fairman, and Seifert for helping us to run a tight project. And as you maybe don't remember, most of the change orders were legitimate things that we had to add to the project due to unforeseen circumstances. So the first one tonight, change order 19, is for carpet replacement at Sampson Leather and Merle Norman's for a total of $1,133. You may have remembered in their sort of entryway off the sidewalk, it's an exterior covered entryway, there was some indoor-outdoor carpeting. Well, as we had to do the concrete work of that sidewalk, it just wasn't feasible that we were able to maintain that carpet. So we did replace that carpet with a new piece of indoor-outdoor carpeting. And so that's what this one is for. So again, change order number 19, $1,133 for indoor-outdoor carpeting and the installation of that carpeting at the two store entrances.
You want to explain 20 as well too, and then we'll do them back to back real quick.
That would be fine. Let me jump back to 20. As I mentioned, 20 is really all the work on the west side of the square, on the west side of 39. So I won't bother you going through all the individual line items on this. But this included everything that we're doing over there. Most of these things we're just paying for with existing line items that are also already established in the contract. There's a couple of other things like some general conditions and some other soft costs to the project that we have to also include in here. But again, our total for all that work on the west side of the project is $262,728.60. So again, that's change order number 20. And once again, that total is 262,728.60.
And I will point out too, that was not originally part of the scope. So, I mean, that's us able to, because we ran the project under budget, we're able to fund this additional side, which wasn't in the original scope. So It's been a very tight project.
When I mentioned the 8% total change orders, that includes this.
Yeah.
And again, we would be well below that 8%, but because we had that contingency money built into the project, we felt it was important to go ahead and because we We had some unforeseen conditions, of course, but we were able to accommodate most of those in the project and through other change orders. We feel it's important to complete the square and wrap up that fourth side of the square, if you will. And we're able to do this without any increase in our bonding or bond capacity or any additional funding allocations or appropriations. This is all within the existing bond funds that were approved a little over a year ago.
Yep. Any questions concerning change orders 19 and 20 from the board?
No.
Okay, would entertain a motion to approve change order number 19.
I make a motion, we approve change order number 19 for $1,133.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that order number 19 is approved, and would entertain a motion to approve change order number 20.
I'll make a motion, we approve change order number 20 in the amount of $262,728.60.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, those are approved. Thank you, Kevin. And next is the Main Street project change orders 6, 7, and 8.
Exactly. Yeah, and these as well. I think we're near the end of this project as well. I don't anticipate any other pending change orders. Well, I take that back. We have some drainage improvements, some drainage changes that we need to make that we will see come before us in the next couple of weeks. Some of that is contractor required repairs. Some of that is some redesign that we're going to do just to make things drain better, associated with some driveway intersections that are not really the contractor's fault, more of just a design issue that we're trying to address. But these are the bulk of what we've been tracking here for some time. So the first one up is change order number 6. The total is $35,869.47. This is primarily for the work at the Boys and Girls Club parking lot on the north side of Main Street. This work was always anticipated as being in the project. It was always included in our contingencies that we built into the project budgets. This is work that we committed to the Boys and Girls Club that we would do in exchange for their right-of-way dedications. And but these were just things that we knew we were going to have to sort of build in the field, that we couldn't fully capture all these commitments in the bid documents. So that is what this is for. This is for a structural backfill that was needed to shore up the subgrade on that parking area. This is for the asphalt surface and intermediate courses. This is for 2 catch basins to make sure the drainage works better. This is also for the striping of that area, the pipes for the drainage connections. And then there was some survey work that we had to do to confirm all the work that we were doing and to make sure that the parking lot was properly graded and drained. So again, change order number 6 is for the Boys and Girls Club parking lot on the north side of the road for $35,869.47.
Okay. Any questions concerning change order number 6? Okay, would entertain a motion to approve change order number 6.
I make a motion, we approve change order number 6 for $35,869.47.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Number 7.
Thank you. Change order number 7. This one's kind of a catch-all. It's got a lot of miscellaneous things. So first item on there, I guess the total, so you have that is $10,976. First item on there, item number 163, is for nitrile gaskets associated with the water main. This was over on Patterson Street. This had to do with some contaminated soil and groundwater that we encountered in that area. Not something that we knew we would encounter, but when we encountered it, that required us to change the way we gasket our water mains. The standard rubber gaskets will degrade over time with some of the contaminated groundwater that we found in the area. And so we had to switch to nitrile gaskets, and they're quite a bit more expensive, to the tune of $2,312 for those gaskets. Number 164 is for some additional conduit that we installed for Lebanon Utilities. This is something, as we got into the project, we were leaving one overhead line crossing West Main Street. And we said, why are we doing that? Let's go ahead and bury that. It wasn't in the original project scope to bury. I think it was missed on the survey is why. So we installed some conduit to provide a conduit for a electric service line to the one house on the south side of the road west of, the single house on the west side of the road, just southwest of the intersection of Lafayette Avenue. Not the only house, but there's one single standalone house there. Item 165 is for grading and additional curb. This was associated with the former Moe's Vintique site. We realized as we were building that we needed to provide some sort of barrier to protect those people using the trail from the parking areas, the drive areas of Moe's Vintiques. So there was an additional curb added to the project that was along that stretch there, along that frontage. That was $722 for that additional piece of curb. Item 164, not 164, 166 sanitary lateral repairs for $4,424. This was associated with some work at the ARC site. Again, there was an unforeseen sanitary manhole under the road that actually collapsed while we were doing some of the grading on there. I had no idea it was there. Nobody at Lebanon Utilities did either. It was a manhole on top of an old lateral, so we were able to abandon that and fix the lateral. But again, that was definitely an unforeseen condition that we had to address. Item 167, modifier storm structures 79 and 80 for a total cost of $440. This was associated with an AT&T crossing conflict where we weren't able to build the storm sewer as we had originally planned due to unforeseen conditions of there being an AT&T line in the way. So these structures were just modified in order to accommodate that redesign in the field. Item 168 is for flowable fill for the Vectran relocation excavations for $807. Vectran locations did not have to be relocated, but because of their depth, we had to vacuum excavate over those and compact with flowable fill over the top of that to ensure compaction of our road subgrade. And then one final item is item 169, asphalt and concrete removal. This is for a total of $1,692. This is at the Lee's Storage Facility, again, similar to the Moe's Vintiques issue, where we just had to make some additions to the project to protect the pedestrians on the sidewalk and ensure proper drainage from that site. So those are all the items included in this, again, for a grand total of $10,976.
Okay. Any questions concerning change order number 7? Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we approve change order number 7
We have a motion to
in
approve.
the amount of $10,976.
Sorry. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That is approved. And finally, change order number 8.
Change order number 8 is for $19,356. This again is kind of a catch-all, some miscellaneous things that we were tracking throughout the job. Item 170 for $6,139 was for the liquid waste removal. I mentioned on Patterson we hit some groundwater. Well, the groundwater is contaminated to a level that would not allow us just to put that back into a storm sewer system. So that water had to be put into a tank and sent away to a recognized facility for disposal. So that is for that cost there. Item 171 for $3,913 was for a fire hydrant that we had to relocate. We built it per the plans, and we got some complaints from one of the business owners in the adjacent to this fire hydrant, and rightfully so, it was going to cause some problems with the operation of their parking area. So we did pay the contractor to relocate that hydrant to a location where it would no longer be in conflict with their patrons' turning maneuvers. And then again, item 172 is for the ARC parking lot. This is similar to the Boys and Girls Club parking lot. Conditions that were put upon the city by the ARC in exchange for their right-of-way dedications along Patterson Street. We committed to surface seal coat their parking lot and restripe that. And that was for a total of $5,975 for that seal coating and restriping. And then last is for the modifications of structures 81 and 82 for $3,329. These again were structures that had to be modified in the field just to meet some field conditions. I think it had to do with, it doesn't say specifically on the change order, but it had to do with crossings of existing water mains and sanitary mains that we had to modify a couple of structures to make those things work. So again, some unforeseen field conditions that required us to modify our storm sewer design in the field for $3,329 for a grand total of change order 8, $19,356.
Okay. Any questions concerning change order number 8? Okay. Would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve change order number 8 in the amount of $19,356.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, those are approved. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate all the detail. And it's amazing you remember all of that stuff.
I got one question, Kevin. I've been gone for 10 days, so if it's been done, that's great. But my question is Washington Street sidewalk, is that, have we ever come to a conclusion there? Next to the county administration building there in front of the dentist, have we come to any decisions there?
I don't want to take too much time, but
Okay,
the
give us a
short
short
answer
version.
is no. We have
Okay.
not come to a resolution there. We had a contractor on behalf of a subcontractor submit a proposal for that work. It involved structural modifications to the building to the tune of $250,000. I don't remember the exact number, and I don't think we ever had a final official change order presented to us to fully document what that final number would have been. But we had a structural engineer engaged in that project, making recommendations and reviewing the contractor's proposal. And really where this kind of, where we couldn't come to terms is the structural engineer wouldn't sign off on the proposal. They would like more work done to the structure of that building. Where the contractor was really, providing a proposal to mitigate the city's issue with the basement under the sidewalk, they were not addressing some of the underlying structural problems of the building. They were shoring and providing stability to the building, but not fixing any structural problems with the building. And our structural engineering consultant felt as though that was a short-sighted fix and would not sign off on that. So we are back to the drawing board again, working with the structural engineer to find some other recommended contractors who may be able to propose something in keeping with their recommendation. Remind you, their recommendation carried a $350,000 estimate with it.
So my next question, I guess, would be the structural issues were nothing caused by what we did, I hope.
Nothing caused by what we did. These are underlying issues that have been in place for a long time. I wouldn't even say they were caused by the existing building owner. Previous building owners, as they were modifying the facades of that building, modified the structure of that building and created some underlying problems. The problem with the basement going over under the sidewalk is relatively easy to fix structurally, but it's the underlying structural issues with the building that are more complex. And I say all that, I want to provide the caveat that no one is fearful that that building is in imminent danger of failure, but there are structural issues with that building that need to be addressed. But I don't know that that's necessarily the city's responsibility to address that, because our project, our construction activities, nothing we've done has caused any of these these issues. They are issues that were caused by previous building owners. We've reviewed the history of that building. At one point, that building had storefronts that you could enter into from the street level through staircases into the basement level. Before my time, but we found the historical photos where you can see the stairwells on the street where people would go down into those basements to shop. And it's, I think as they closed those things up, that they really started to create problems with the structural integrity of the building.
Okay.
So we're going to continue to look at it. I've also reached out to the contractor for a more just cosmetic overlay of the sidewalk so that we can complete our project without addressing the structural issues underneath. So maybe I'll have another change order proposal to review with you at that time once we see those numbers.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other new business come before the board?
No.
Okay, then we'll move on to claims, and we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the claims.
We have a motion to approve the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, claims are approved. Any announcements, discussion? Okay, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Our next Board Works meeting will actually be Tuesday, November 12th. The agenda was incorrect. I forgot that is Veterans Day, and we will not be meeting that day. So Tuesday, November 12th for the next Board of Works and City Council meetings. Thank you.